Welcome to another live stream. It is 9 p.m. Actually, it's 1 minute past 9 p.m. I am a minute late, so I'm sorry for that. But I'm here, and thank you for being here for this live stream. It's Friday night, and I understand people have so many other things to do on a Friday night as we head into the weekend. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining. There are two really important topics that I want to discuss. Very, very important topics. And so I just appreciate the fact that you have joined me for this live stream tonight. Let me look at the chat window. Terry writes, yay, I found my way here all by myself. Terry, thank you for joining. I know there are other people who have joined also. Would you please write something in the chat window? Write your name, write the city or the state that you're from. Just say hello, or just simply give me a thumbs up or wave or just a smiley emoticon. Just write something in the chat window so I know who's here. And I'm going to start in a few seconds. I usually like to give people a minute or two to join. And let me tell you, I'm going to be talking about the state of emergency in Louisiana. And I will be talking about a very important race in Wisconsin, the Senate race in Wisconsin. I'll get to that. So these are my two big topics today. And of course, I'm happy to discuss anything else that you want me to talk about. Just write it in the chat window. Friday night, thank you for joining. And we are at the 2-minute mark. So I'm going to start the discussion. My friends, there is a state of emergency in Louisiana. The governor of the state of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, has issued a state of emergency. Now, you may be asking why. Why the state of emergency? You may be asking what happened. You may be asking what's going on. Is everything okay? Is there something to worry about? Is there a crisis? Well, let me tell you, my friends, there is a crisis in Louisiana. Things are not okay. And yes, there is a lot to worry about. Governor Jeff Landry has issued a state of emergency in Louisiana over police shortage. Police shortage. That is correct. You heard that correctly. A shortage of law enforcement officers. My friends, there is growing chaos in the United States. Crime is on the rise. Communities are becoming less safe. And so what do we need? We need law enforcement officers. We need police officers to protect and serve. We need police officers who can combat crime and who can ensure safety in our neighborhoods. My friends, in Louisiana, there's tremendous shortage of law enforcement officers. The governor of Louisiana said that police departments in the state are experiencing record low employments. And as a result, there is rise in crime and the safety and security of the people are being adversely impacted. That's happening in Louisiana, my friends. Reportedly, law enforcement agencies have seen 47% more resignations in 2022 than in 2019. Also, reportedly, as of July, sheriff's offices in Louisiana were down 1,800 deputies. My friends, let me tell you, during an emergency, response time is very, very important. For example, if there is a robbery in progress, if there's a crime in progress, and someone dials 911 for help, then the response time is extremely important. The longer it takes for police to respond, the worse the situation can get. And in Louisiana, the shortage of police officers can lead to increase in response time, which would make communities less safe. If it takes longer for people to respond, if it takes longer for police officers to respond when there's a report of a crime taking place, the worse the situation gets. And criminals take advantage of that situation. When criminals know that it takes longer for police to respond to an incident, then criminals feel stronger. Then crime rises and people suffer. So the governor of Louisiana has declared a state of emergency until March 15th of 2024. Governor Landry said that his executive order and the upcoming crime special session will ensure that the law enforcement officers are supported. So he's trying to support the men and women of law enforcement. Here's the bigger picture, my friends. I've talked about Louisiana. Let me give you the bigger picture. The governor's decision highlights an important issue. It's a nationwide problem. States across the country are experiencing police officer shortage. And that's a problem in Wisconsin too. If you live in Wisconsin, if you pay attention to what's going on in the various communities, then you'll know that there's a shortage of police officers in Wisconsin also. And I'm sure that there's a shortage of police officers in many other states. And so, this state of emergency, this declaration, this decision by the governor of Louisiana to declare a state of emergency, this brings this shortage, this police officer shortage issue to national attention. And that's important. Other states should also start thinking about policies that would encourage more people to choose career in law enforcement. We need more law enforcement officers. And so what should policymakers do? Policymakers, they must try to remove roadblocks. They must try to remove red tape to ensure that agencies can hire more officers. My friends, let me pause for a second and look at the chat window. My friend Terry is here. And Terry, if you know what's going on in South Dakota, if there's a shortage in South Dakota, please feel free to share that. I have not had a chance to look at some of the other states, but I know that it is a national issue. In Wisconsin, most certainly, there's a shortage of law enforcement officers, and communities are struggling. Communities are struggling. You talk to people in different parts of Wisconsin, they'll tell you that, they need more law enforcement officers. My friends, there's another topic that I wish to discuss. I've previously talked about the need for Republicans to regain majority in the United States Senate. I've talked about it. I talked about a few candidates who are running for Senate, people who may be able to win and help the GOP secure majority in the U.S. Senate. Who did I talk about? I talked about Jim Justice in West Virginia. He's running for Senate. He's the governor of West Virginia, but he's running for Senate. I mentioned Larry Hogan in Maryland. Larry Hogan also served as the governor of Maryland, and now he's running for Senate. I mentioned Kari Lake in Arizona. Kari Lake ran for governor, and now she's running for the U.S. Senate seat from Arizona. Now, my friends, let me tell you about what state? Can you guess? Let me tell you about my state, Wisconsin. Here in Wisconsin, there is a Senate race. It's an extremely important Senate race. In November 2024, there will be an election for a U.S. Senate seat in Wisconsin. Incumbent U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin is running for re-election. She was elected in 2012. She was elected to the Senate in 2012, and she is running for a third term in office. Tammy Baldwin has been in the Senate since 2013. So she won the election in 2012, got sworn into office in 2013, and she has been in office since then. And now she's running for a third term. Each Senate term is 6 years. Each Senate term, U.S. Senate term, is 6 years. And so Tammy Baldwin is running for the third term. The question is there a heavyweight candidate? Is there someone high profile, somebody who can jump into the race as a Republican, somebody who can defeat Senator Baldwin and help Republicans regain majority in the U.S. Senate? Let's go back to what I said. It's important for the Republicans to focus on regaining majority in the U.S. Senate. And we can do that. There are ways of doing that. Jim Justice, if he wins in West Virginia, that'll be great. If Larry Hogan wins in Maryland, that'll be wonderful. If Kari Lake wins in Arizona, that will be excellent. And so it's possible. But let's talk about Wisconsin. Is there a heavyweight candidate? Is there someone in Wisconsin who can jump into the U.S. Senate race and defeat Senator Baldwin and help the Republicans gain a solid majority in the U.S. Senate? My friends, Wisconsin is a purple state. It's a purple state. It's a battleground state. It's very hard to predict the outcomes of statewide races in Wisconsin. It's always very challenging to accurately predict election outcomes in Wisconsin, statewide races in particular. Sometimes a Republican wins a statewide race in Wisconsin, and sometimes a Democrat wins a statewide race in Wisconsin. It's very difficult to predict, and there are lots of swing voters in Wisconsin, a lot of independent voters. They don't necessarily vote for, Republican or Democrat. They pay attention to each individual candidate, and they make decisions based on their preferences at the time that they vote. So, it's really hard to try to figure out what's going on in people's minds here in Wisconsin. There are those voters who are going to vote for Democrats no matter what. There are voters who are going to vote for Republicans no matter what. But then there are people in the middle. And that's the challenging part, to figure out who the independent, who the moderates are going to vote for. And so in Wisconsin, very challenging to make predictions. And as I said, sometimes a Republican wins a statewide race, and sometimes a Democrat wins a statewide race. And that's what makes Wisconsin not a red state, not a blue state, but a purple state. But if you really want to analyze the map of Wisconsin after an election, you'll see that most of the state is red. Most of the areas are Republican areas. Most of the people in Wisconsin, if you look at the map and you just look at the map based on the Democrat and the Republican votes, red and blue, blue and red, you'll see that most of the map is red, but there are some really big Democrat-heavy areas like Dane County, Milwaukee County, and there are some other places, some college towns. And so, it all depends on the turnout. It all depends on the turnout. Who's going to win the election? Turnout is extremely important. Terry is writing a comment here about South Dakota. Okay. I'm looking at the statistics that Terry is writing. I'm gonna look at those very closely after the live stream. So thanks, Terry, for sharing the information. So going back to Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin is important for many, many reasons. Wisconsin is important in a national election for many reasons. Not only do Republicans want to win the Senate seat in Wisconsin by defeating Tammy Baldwin, but Republicans also want to make sure that the GOP nominee for president wins the 10 electoral college votes from Wisconsin in the 2024 general election. Having a strong U.S. Senate candidate would help with voter turnout in our state, in America's Dairyland, Wisconsin. Now, my friends, for months now, we heard different names. There was a lot of speculation. There still is a lot of speculation about who's going to run for the Senate seat in Wisconsin from the GOP side. Obviously, from the Democrat side, the incumbent Senator Tammy Baldwin is running for re-election. Who's going to run from the Republican side? And there are people who wanted to run, and there are some candidates who have, there are some individuals who have declared their candidacy and are running. But the question is there someone who can launch a solid campaign and do the groundwork that needs to be done to unite Republicans from all over the state and win this U.S. Senate seat by defeating incumbent Senator Tammy Baldwin? My friends, let me share with you the latest update. There are reports that businessman Eric Hovde is planning to launch a campaign for the U.S. Senate seat in Wisconsin. Reportedly, the official announcement may come next week. This is breaking news. Eric Hovde is a very prominent businessman. His business involvements include real estate and banking, according to the reports that I've read. Mr. Hovde previously ran for political office in 2012. That was over a decade ago. And I remember very clearly that a lot of people expected Eric Hovde to run for U.S. Senate in 2018. But he did not do that. And then some people thought that Eric Hovde would run for Wisconsin governor in 2022. He did not do that. And now there are reports that clearly state that Mr. Eric Hovde is planning to launch his campaign for U.S. Senate next week. And this is exciting news here in Wisconsin. And next week definitely is going to be a very important week in Wisconsin politics. And it's going to be, in fact, it's going to be a very important week in American politics. Because as I said before, it's about regaining majority in the Senate so that Republicans can work on implementing policies to take our country on the right track. Right now, we have economic challenges because of Biden administration's policies. The Biden administration is waging a war on fossil fuels, but we need fossil fuels. We need affordable energy. The Biden administration is responsible for the border crisis, and that's causing pain and suffering across the country. And so Republicans need to regain majority in the U.S. Senate, and that can happen if we win the Senate seat in Wisconsin. And let's not forget, as I said a few minutes ago, the GOP nominee for president, and I believe it'll be Donald Trump, the GOP nominee for president has to work very hard to win Wisconsin's 10 electoral college votes. My friends, 2024 is an extremely important year in our life. This U.S. Senate seat, this race for the U.S. Senate seat in Wisconsin is so important. My friends, Eric Hovde is a financially strong candidate, and he has name recognition in the political arena here in Wisconsin. He's also a very prominent businessman, and I think he will be a great challenger in the Senate race. And I wish Mr. Hovde all the best. I'm looking forward to him launching his campaign next week, and I'm glad that he's planning to run for the Senate based on the reports that I've read. And I think that there's going to be a lot of energy and enthusiasm among the Republicans in Wisconsin once he officially announces that he's running. There's no doubt that there's a lot of work left to do. The Senate race is going to be very, very heated because, like I said, uh, it's one of the most important Senate races in the country. That's what I think it's going to be. I think the Wisconsin Senate race will end up being one of the most watched Senate races in the country. I think on election night 2024, as people are, wherever they are with your friends at an election night party, sitting at home, wherever they may be, if they've got their TV on, or if they are following the results on a computer, refreshing the page to see the different numbers coming in, votes, vote totals, and results. As people are busy following the results on election night, the political pundits here in America, they're going to be watching the Wisconsin the U.S. Senate race in Wisconsin. This is going to be extremely important. Let me look at the chat window here. Okay, my friends, let me tell you that, as I said, the GOP nominee for president will have to work hard to try to win Wisconsin's 10 electoral college votes to reach the magic number of 270 electoral college votes to win the presidency. And this Senate race in Wisconsin is going to be very important. November 2024, let me share with you some more interesting numbers. Democrats, this election, November 2024, Democrats are going to be defending 23 Senate seats. That includes 2 seats held by independents who caucus with the Democrats. So Democrats are going to be defending 23 seats in November, while Republicans will defend 11 seats. And so that's why I am so optimistic. There's a real opportunity for Republicans to win the majority in the U.S. Senate. Now, let me tell you something else. It's always my goal to give a fair analysis. Obviously, I have my political preferences, and people who follow my channel, they already know I'm a strong conservative. I vote for Republicans, and I'm very active in the political field here in Wisconsin. But I present facts and data and numbers so that people can get a clear picture of what's going on. So I'm going to tell you that it is true that an incumbent has certain advantages. An incumbent, somebody who is already in office, somebody who already is a senator, is a U.S. senator, is in office, going into a re-election campaign, an incumbent has certain advantages. So from that standpoint, Tammy Baldwin, having been in office for almost 2 terms, she has been in power for almost 12 years, so she has certain advantages. But we also have to consider the fact that the voters, the American people, are sick and tired of Democrat policies. Policies that have caused the border crisis. The Democrats have caused the border crisis. The Democrats and their policies have caused inflation. The Democrats and their policies have caused gas prices to skyrocket. So an incumbent Democrat elected official may have certain advantages going into a re-election campaign. But an incumbent, a Democrat incumbent, while campaigning, will have to try to defend Biden's policies. And Biden's policies cannot be defended. Biden's policies have been very destructive for the country. I mean, how can someone defend the Biden administration's policies that have caused inflation? How can someone defend the Biden administration's policies that have caused the border crisis? How can someone defend the Biden administration's war on fossil fuels that caused gas prices to skyrocket? Democrats and their policies have caused tremendous problem, tremendous pain and suffering for the American people over the last few years. So for a Democrat incumbent going into a re-election, It's almost impossible when you look at the reality. If when you look at the truth, when you look at the facts, it's impossible to defend policies of the Biden administration that have caused permanent damage to our economy. So, given that, I think Mr. Hovde running as a Republican, if he runs a great campaign, he can win. It is very much possible. There's a real chance, there's a real opportunity for Republicans to be able to win the Senate seat in Wisconsin. It is possible. The incumbent may have the incumbent advantage, but a challenger who is going to present a Republican challenger who is going to present sound policies, great ideas, who's going to say that I'm willing to fight for freedom. You know, if a candidate says that, then the people will vote for that candidate. People are sick and tired of Democrat policies. And so the voters in Wisconsin, they are hungry for stability. They want stability in the economy. They want lower gas prices. They want a secure border. They want this influx of illegal immigrants to end. People want to see our country having great relationship with our international allies. People want to see our country as a strong global leader. And so, my friends, that's why I say that there's a real opportunity for Republicans to win the Senate seat in Wisconsin and to regain majority in the US Senate. That is possible, and I'm looking forward to seeing that happen. And going forward, I'm going to be sharing with you more news, more updates, more commentary, as I always try to do on this channel. So please stay connected with me. Now, a question remains. Will there be other high-profile individuals who decide to jump into the race for the U.S. Senate seat in Wisconsin? I don't know the answer to that. There's still a lot of speculation. Mr. Hovde, based on the reports that I'm reading, he is going to be making an announcement and officially jumping into the race next week. I've seen multiple reports that clearly indicate that's going to happen. And the question then remains, will there be other individuals who jump into the race? You know, we have to wait and see. It's very exciting, and we have lots of problems in our country right now. But my friends, I am optimistic that in November 2024, we will be able to elect Donald Trump as president. I'm very hopeful that we will be able to retain our majority in the U.S. House of Representatives, and we will be able to grow the size of the majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. And I'm also very optimistic about Republicans, and I think that we should be able to, if we work hard enough, we should be able to win the U.S. Senate seat in Wisconsin, and we should be able to regain majority in the U.S. Senate. Let me look at the chat window here, my friends. Okay, I see some discussion about electoral maps. You know, electoral maps, district maps, we can have discussion on that, but this episode I'm really talking about statewide races. And so, you know, a U.S. Senate race is a statewide race. My friends, we are getting close to the 30-minute time mark here. It's a Friday night. I'm not going to continue this for longer because I understand your time is valuable. I just appreciate the fact that you tune in, but I also understand that on Friday night people may have other plans. Well, I'm not going to do much after this. I'm just going to maybe read a book and then go to sleep. So I don't have any other plans after I end this live stream, but I know that, you know, folks may be in the mood to watch a movie or, you know, to go out. You know, I just appreciate the fact that people are tuning in. And I'm very fortunate to see that viewers from so many different states across the country tune in for my live stream. You know, people from Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, California, Illinois, and Alabama, Mississippi, South Dakota. Terry always joins me from South Dakota, which I very, very much appreciate. So yeah, I'm not going to continue this particular live stream beyond the 30-minute mark. Thank you for your valuable time on a Friday night. And I do hope to do another live stream tomorrow, and possibly one on Sunday, and on Monday too. So please stay connected to my channel, and my friends, I appreciate it. Maya Sisters writes, good night. Nice. All good night, all. Nice chat. Thank you, Maya Sisters, for joining. Thank you, Terry, for joining, and whoever else joined this live stream but perhaps did not write a comment in the chat window. I want to thank you all sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate your time. So thank you once again. Have a wonderful night, and I will be back again with more live stream and more videos. Thank you so much.